Hello. Um, my name is Bob, and I am kind of new to FPL. Technically, I've been playing it for like 15 years, but only ever as a casual. This is the first year I've ever really got into it. And so I thought I would make a video channel because I just have loads of things I want to say, and I thought I'd just start saying it. I don't have. This is probably going to be super awkward. I don't think I'll be very good at it. Don't care about likes and subscribers, any of that stuff. Just thought I'd do it for myself, and it might help other people out there. That's about it. So I'm just going to rant, and I've got lots of things I wanted to talk about, but today I just wanted to talk about 4 point hits because it's interesting. It may be that I'm just trying to justify and find excuses to make 4 point hits because they're fun. And most of the experts tend to say you shouldn't really do them. Some people are kind of proud that they never take a hit, all this kind of stuff. I've got a suspicion I may end up with that conclusion as well. But I'm not sure. I'm not quite ready to accept that yet because I've just got this hunch that 4 point hits might be a real missed opportunity that people don't. People are reluctant to take them, and I think maybe we shouldn't be. It could be more benefit there than we think. So I'm just going to go through what I think about it, the pros and the cons. Basically, the question you want to ask yourself is the player you're bringing in likely to score more than 4 points than the player you're taking out for a hit over a certain game week period as well? It doesn't have to be one game week. It can be a long period. But that's the fundamental question. And if it is, then you should bring them in. And if it isn't, you shouldn't. But there's a lot of caveats to that. One is that if the longer the game week period you're having that period as for the hit to pay off, it's more likely that you would have transferred them in on a free hit anyway. So it can only go up to that moment when you would have transferred them in for a free anyway. But we've got like 2 game weeks right now, so it's quite a nice little window where you could take a hit and you probably wouldn't have done it on a free this game week or next game week, possibly. And the only real question is, for me, how do you work out that 4 point gap, whether it would be worth it? And I'll get to the pros and the cons later, but I made a model because I'm a geek. This kind of shows you how obsessed I've been. I don't claim this to be very expert or anything. I'm sure there's people who've done much better than this. But it's a model. It's a 4 point hit calculator. I've done a whole model that predicts point scores, and it's based on these 4 weights. I've got like the season points. This is how many points a player gets per game or per minute, per 90 minutes, and their 30-day form. This is just FPL points. And then I've got a whole metric based on XGI, the XG and XGA metrics, the season form, and then the last 4 games form at the moment. And then I've also factored in all the fixtures, fixture difficulties, home and away, all that kind of stuff. And I've come up with this like little model. And so between games 15 and 16, this is the points that I've predicted each player will score. This is totally like untested, brand new. Have no idea whether it's going to work. I'm sure there are people who've done better than me. Doesn't really matter though. The point is that if you look here, this is like the 4 point. This tells me the difference between each player over that period of 15 and 16, game week 15 and 16. And so for instance, I have Mo Salah, and De Bruyne is predicted to score 4.58 points more than Mo Salah in the next 2 game weeks, right? Now, whether that's right or wrong and all that kind of stuff, I just want to show like that principle, that point of if that's the case, if this model was accurate, then it would make sense for me to take a 4 point hit to De Bruyne. Obviously, this is just predicted points, but this is like for me it's about statistical probability. As FPL managers, our job is to maximize probability rather than the outcome is almost like none of our business. It's like that's just a nice. Well, it's not none of our business, but it's like, you know, the main thing is to maximize our probability. And so technically, if this was correct, I should take a 4 point hit for De Bruyne. Take Salah out, bring De Bruyne in. We've got another one here because Zaha to Foden would also be worth a 4 point hit. Wouldn't be for Salah to Foden, but would be for Zaha to Foden. And so that's what I'm thinking. Sorry, I wrote notes because I know my brain keeps going dead when I've got a camera in my face. Yeah, and so technically, if this is correct, it would actually be foolish not to do that. And this is, so I'm going to get into the pros and cons, because this is where I think people maybe think differently. And the first thing I wanted to say is like, it's Peloton thinking, which is what. So the reason why I think some people have are reluctant to take a 4-point hit is because it feels like you're going backwards. It feels like you're losing points. But technically, I don't think that's true, because if you think of the game, it's more like all the managers are like a peloton in a race, and the average score is moving all the time. If it depends on what you're playing for, but if you're playing for rank, this year the average score is probably going to be a lot higher because Haaland's playing, and he's going to bump everybody's average. And there's a lot of people who are scoring higher points, and so the aim of the game is to keep up with the peloton and score more. And so with this, for example, it's a bit vague. It's not an exact science, but technically, if I keep Salah and I don't get De Bruyne, and De Bruyne outscores Salah by more than 4 points, technically the peloton has moved away from me by more than 4 points. So I've actually done worse. If I had taken a 4-point hit for De Bruyne, I'd have kept up with the peloton better. So I don't know if that's I'm making that clear, but like, you're not actually going backwards by having a 4-point hit. It's about keeping up with the peloton. And again, this is all assuming the model's correct, which if you go to other models, FPL Kiwi's data is online. I don't think his justifies a 4-point hit and things like this, but it's that kind of thinking. Yeah, so there's something in there. I want to explore that again in another video, but I think there's something in that where you've got to keep up with the peloton. You're not actually losing points. Anyway, another point is also, I think sometimes we have, as humans, I know I do, have a negative bias, which is that we remember the bad times more than the good times sometimes, and we have memories of taking hits and it not working, and that kind of that emotional memory sticks in our mind more than the times when it does work, or whenever we've made any move and it hasn't worked out. That sticks in our mind more than the times when it does work. And I think we should go careful not to. You shouldn't think that's faulty thinking. You should think about the possibility that it does pay off. Again, this might be just me justifying, trying to find excuses to take a 4-point hit. Maybe I'll regret it, but this transfer. So Salah to De Bruyne. If I ran a similar transfer 1,000 times, would it pay off more often than it doesn't? Because if it doesn't pay off, that's fine. That's statistically variance. Sometimes it's not going to pay off. But if I did it 1,000 times, would it pay off on average more often than it doesn't? That's what I'm trying to get to. And I need to test this, but if it does, then it would be worth it. So, and that negative bias is like, you think, oh, but it could really backfire. Salah could easily haul more than De Bruyne. He could easily outscore. So could Zaha. Zaha could score loads. Salah's got Southampton in the last game. Zaha's got Nottingham Forest in the last game. Easily. But so could Foden and De Bruyne. And I think they're more likely to haul than Salah and Zaha. And you have to kind of think, well, so on the balance of things, according to this, they're about over 4 points more likely to haul than those two. So, yeah, it can go well as well. You've got to think about that, I think. Another pro about taking 4-point hits is it makes the game much more fluid, which is that if you've only got your 38 free transfers throughout the season, it's kind of very rigid. A lot of those, about half of those, are going to be forced transfers because of injuries and suspensions. The game is very rigid, and sometimes you're stuck with your team, and you can't really do much with it. And whereas if you've got 4-point hits, you've got a lot of flexibility. You can move with the times and things like this. It's much more flexibility. It's more fluid. So that's just a little pro that I like. Another little pro that you to factor in is if you're going to captain the player you bring in, that would actually make it more. You're going to double the points. So I haven't done the maths on that, but technically, yeah, you know that's going to make it more worthwhile. But another big reason as well why I'm kind of another pro in favour of 4-point hits is it's fun. And what I mean by that is, so it depends why you're playing FPL, because maybe you're playing for rank and your ultimate goal is to get the highest rank as possible. You're playing it properly. You want to get the whole ultimate goal, the highest rank possible, and that's what will bring you the most happiness. If that's the case, then maybe, if I'm wrong about these 4-point hits, and maybe you want to play it safer, maybe that's the way to go. But sometimes I feel like I'm like staring at this weekend, and I've got like Salah versus Tottenham away, Zaha versus West Ham away. It doesn't fill me with great excitement. Whereas if I've got like some Man City, if I've got De Bruyne in there, even if it's a risky 4-point hit, I just feel like I'd have much more fun sitting down watching the game this weekend. I'll be really excited about that. I don't fear not having Salah, but I do fear not having De Bruyne or Foden in my team. It'll be really exciting and fun. It's just fun to have these punts, you know. And why do you play the game? Do you want to have fun, and then get to the end of the year and have maybe a slightly lower rank, but every game week you had fun and you enjoyed yourself? Or would you get to the end of the year, the end of the season, and see your rank, and would that actually bum you out more? Or see, even at the end of the week, seeing that you got a red arrow and thinking, you know what, I shouldn't have done those hits, would that bum you out more? So you've got to ask yourself, why are you playing? But I kind of like the fun. I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm still kind of experimenting at the moment. At the moment, I kind of like the fun, and I'm not too fussed about my rank. Just playing it for now, but we'll see. I would like to play it properly though as well. I don't know. Just a thought. The cons about taking 4-point hits. So the player has to outscore the player you're taking out by 4 points, and if they do, you earn nothing. If it's just 4 points, you get nothing. So even if they get one return, the other player doesn't, you don't actually make anything. They have to score more than 4 points for it to be worth your while. And even when that happens, you only get 1 or 2 points more, which is still something. But for some people, that maybe puts them off. It's not worth the risk, maybe. You have to think about that. There's also an element of it is a bit gambly. Like, it's a bit gambling. It's almost addictive to take a 4-point hit because it's a punt. You're not gambling with money, but when we play, we're gambling with our emotions, aren't we? We're investing in a player and caring about that player, and then when they come through, it's exciting. When they don't, we feel bad. It's gambling with emotions almost. So it's got that kind of addictive, gambly feel about it. And usually in life, gamblings, it usually ends badly more than it ends well. I'll say there's one example of this, which is in game week 13, I did a 4-point hit for Estupinian to Gabriel. Because I had Doherty and Williams and they weren't really playing. Actually, Williams got a 6 in that game, but that was against Liverpool. Nobody expected that. Estupinian got 1, Gabriel got 2. I took a 4-point hit. I'm 3 points down, so that didn't work out. Next game week, Gabriel got 6, Estupinian got 7, so I'm back to 4 points down on that hit now. And then this game week 15 and 16, Estupinian's got Wolves away and somebody else easy, Aston Villa at home. He's looking really good now. I actually kind of wish I had him back a little bit because he's looking quite good if he's going to play. And on top of that, I'm trapped. Well, I've got Gabriel against Chelsea, and I'm stuck with 3 Arsenal now. And if I wanted to get Jesus for Mitrovic, which was a possibility in either this one or next game week, I can't do that now. And so it's possible that a -4 can massively backfire. Gabriel almost got injured as well in last game week, so it could have really backfired. So -4s can backfire. That's an example of how, and the ripple effects as well. But again, I care more about the overall odds. If I did these types of -4s 1,000 times, would they pay off more often than they don't? If they would, then that's what I want to do them. I don't want to base it on just one, moment. And that's the other thing about the cons is you do have to think about the ripple effects as well. So there's if you were going to transfer a player in it anyway, so game week 16, there is a chance that I would have done Salah to De Bruyne in game week 16 anyway if I had nothing else happening. I might have just done that anyway. So technically that should take away from the 4-point hit, But there's also about a 50-50 odd chance, I reckon, that some kind of forced transfer will emerge anyway. Mitrovic could get suspended, somebody could get injured. I don't know what the exact odds on that, and I want to work that out, but the chances that a forced transfer will emerge in my team is, at the moment, I rate it around 50-50 anyway, that something will crop up. So there's that to consider. There's also, you have to consider a 4-point hit. Will it lock you out of other transfers, like the Gabriel locked me out of Jesus? Little things to consider. And there's also there's a whole kind of like sliding doors element of the whole thing, where you start kind of going through, if I do this transfer, it will lead to this and then that and then that. And it gets beyond calculation after a while because there's so many different permutations. So maybe we don't have to overthink it too much. But and then there's also, and one other thing to consider is if you're switching captain. So like if Haaland was out and I brought De Bruyne in, I would probably captain De Bruyne. But if Haaland was out and I didn't bring De Bruyne in, I'd captain Wilson. And so you have to kind of, if Wilson hauls, De Bruyne has to outscore Salah and Wilson, because I would have captained Wilson. It's all these would-ofs. I don't know, it gets complicated after a while, but there's a lot of things you have to kind of factor into it. But there's some of the cons. But I like focusing on the pros of 4-point hits. And I think it's right. I think this basic metric is right. This basic way of thinking is right. Whether the actual model is accurate is a totally other question. It's probably not. I wouldn't trust it because this is brand new and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just playing around with this stuff. But that the principle there, though, I think is right. And the peloton thinking, technically, if I don't make that 4-point hit, the field is going to move 4 points beyond me, or technically all the De Bruyne owners will. Depends on the EO, but yeah. And I think negative bias, and I think just playing for fun it's all making me think that I might just go for this. But anyway, so what am I going to do in the game week 15? I might make a separate video about this, about my actual plans, but I'm thinking it depends. If Foden, if I knew that Foden was playing the next two, I might do Zaha to Foden, even though Zaha has got slightly less upside according to my model. My instinct is that I would rather have Foden and Salah in the same team. It feels better that way. So I might do that. If he's in the team, if he's guaranteed in the team this game week, I might just take a punt on that and hope that he's in the team next game week. But it feels almost like the safer pit to go for De Bruyne to Salah to De Bruyne. So I might do that. Also depends on whether Haaland's going to play, and whether I'm going to captain people. Might make a separate video about that. But yeah. Anyway, that is my thoughts about 4-point hits. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Okay, bye.